Ever get that craving for something specific? Like not just hungry, but you need that particular taste.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Now imagine that food is like deeply tied to your culture and your faith.
Okay.
And then someone says something that makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Uh-oh.
That's what we're diving into today. The Tirupati Ladoo war that like shook Andhra Pradesh.
You're so right to say how important food is to people's identities. It's fascinating. This case, it mixes food safety and religious passion and politics. It's a recipe for a controversy. Let's break it down.
Okay, so first things first, for anyone who's not familiar with all this, could you give us an idea of what the Tirupati temple is and these laddus? What makes them so special?
So picture this, the Sri Venkateswara Swami Temple in Andhra Pradesh. It's this huge temple. It brings in hundreds of thousands of pilgrims every single year. It's one of the most important pilgrimage sites in all of India. And these lattice, they're not just a regular sweet treat. They're prasadam, that's blessed food offerings. They have a huge religious significance to them, and devotees really, really want them.
So this isn't just a little food fight. This is serious stuff.
Exactly. And that's why what happened had such a big impact.
And what were these accusations that caused such a big stir? Who threw the first punch in this Laddu war?
It all started with a guy named Chandrababu Naidu. He used to be the chief minister. He's a big deal in the Telugu Desam Party, or TDP.
Right.
He publicly accused the current government, which is led by Jagan Mohan Reddy from the YSR Congress Party, and the accusations were not good. He accused them of using bad ingredients and cutting corners, and the worst part, he said they were using animal fat instead of ghee, clarified butter.
Hold on, animal fat. In food that millions of people consider sacred. That's not just a quality issue. That's like messing with people's beliefs. No wonder this became a huge deal.
You get it. And Naidu's party, the TDP, they didn't just want to talk, they wanted to prove it. So they got a lab report.
Things were getting good now, right?
Yeah. They said they had a report from the National Dairy Development Board. It's a big deal source. And they said that the ghee samples from the people who managed the temple, the TTD, had animal fat in them.
So they were saying that science backed them up. Did they say who supplied this iffy ghee?
So the TTD did their own tests, and they said it was a company called AR Dairy Food Private Limited from Tamil Nadu. They said all 4 of their samples failed and even suggested there was lard in there.
Lord, whoa. They must have been so mad. What did they do?
They took it seriously. They said they were blacklisting AR Dairy Food Private Limited, and they even sued them for penalties.
It sounds like they had them dead to rights, but I'm sure there's another side to this. What did Jagan Mohan Reddy say about all of this?
Oh, he fought back hard. He said it was all just politics. A smear campaign to distract from all the good things his government had done in its first 100 days.
So he's saying Naidu and the TDP were trying to make his government look bad by using a sensitive topic.
Exactly. He said it was all just diversion politics. He questioned why they were bringing it up now and suggested they were doing it to overshadow his wins.
Clever. But did he have anything else?
Oh yeah, he had one more thing. He pointed out that the samples and the tests all happened when Naidu was in charge.
Oh, interesting. So the question becomes, if the ghee was messed up, whose fault was it? This isn't about lattice anymore, is it? This is about power and politics and what people think. We're just getting started, and after the break, we'll dig into what all of this really means. And we're back, still thinking about those lattice.
It's wild, right? How something that seems kind of small can become a huge deal.
For sure. And it shows how much food and faith really matter, especially in India.
Absolutely. These weren't just any lattice. To a lot of people, messing with them is like messing with their whole belief system.
You're right. It goes way deeper than just food. So when this all went down, did it stay in Andhra Pradesh or did it get bigger?
Oh, it blew up. This wasn't just local news. It was everywhere. When you're talking about food safety at one of the holiest places in India, people are going to pay attention.
That makes sense. So what did the central government do about all this?
They had to do something. The health minister back then, J.P. Nadda, he went public and asked the Andhra Pradesh government for a report.
Wow. Putting on the pressure.
Oh, yeah. He said they were ready to step in if they needed to. And the food minister, Prahad Joshi, he said the same thing. He wanted a full investigation.
So everyone's watching. And we were talking earlier about how food and faith are so connected. This must have been a really tricky situation for them.
For sure. And remember how Rahul Gandhi was a big deal back then?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he made a statement, too. He said that we need to protect religious places, and not just in Andhra Pradesh, but everywhere in India.
Interesting. So he wasn't picking sides with Naidu or Reddy. He was talking about a bigger issue.
Exactly. He was saying that places of worship should be above this kind of thing, that the whole idea of messed up prasadam is just wrong.
Makes sense. What about his party, though? The Congress Party. What did they have to say about the actual accusations?
They were careful. They said if it was true, it was a big deal, and they wanted a full investigation. But they also said that if it turned out to be fake or just to score political points, then the people who did it would have to answer for it.
Smart. They covered all their bases.
Yeah.
It sounds like they knew this wasn't just about politics. They were worried about what it would do to people's trust if it wasn't taken seriously.
Exactly. And this whole thing, it made people think beyond just the lattice. It made them think about food in general.
Oh, so?
It made people question the safety of food, especially in a place as big and diverse as India.
Yeah, you're putting your trust in the system, in the people making your food, especially when that food means something to your religion.
That's it, trust. Imagine you're a devotee. You traveled so far, waited for hours. Finally, you get this laddu, this blessing, and then this happens. It makes you question everything.
It's like you've been betrayed.
Right, and that's what's so interesting about this whole thing. It's not just about a food scandal. It's about life and politics and that feeling of being unsure about your food that everyone has sometimes.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So we have this huge controversy, accusations, investigations.
Mm-hmm.
But was there ever an ending? Did we ever find out what was really in those lattice?
That's the thing. It's kind of disappointing. The TTD, they kept saying that the lattice were good now, totally pure. But did we ever find out for sure if there was something wrong with them back then? Not really.
So it's a case closed, but not closed case.
Yeah, and that makes it even more interesting, don't you think?
I do. It makes you wonder, was it just a mistake? Was someone trying to make money? Or was this all just to make someone look bad? We have more questions than answers now.
That's what makes it so interesting. It reminds us that sometimes the best stories don't have a clear ending.
It's not just about some bad lattice. It's about the stories we tell ourselves and the trust we put in other people, and how something like food can become so much bigger. We're not done yet, though. After the break, we'll talk about what we can learn from all of this. We're back for one last look at this Ladoo drama. It's amazing how food can cause so much trouble.
It's true. Food is like this basic thing we all need, but it can get mixed up with bigger stuff.
Yeah, and in this case, it wasn't just any food. It was at a temple, a really important one.
Right. This case shows us that religious places, they aren't like other places. We expect more from them. We expect them to be pure.
I get it. So how did this whole thing with the lattice, how did it affect the people who go to the temple?
It's hard to say for sure. Some people probably felt let down, like their faith was tested.
I can see that.
But other people, maybe they held onto their beliefs even stronger, like it was a challenge or something.
It's like you can't really prove something didn't happen. Even though they said the laddies were fine, now some people might still have doubts.
Exactly. And that brings up another point, the stories we tell ourselves. Even if we don't know the whole truth, the story we choose to believe, that's what matters.
That's deep. So after all of this, what do you think is the most important thing for people to remember about this Laddie war?
I think it shows us that even today, faith and food, they're still connected. And it shows us how religion and politics, they get mixed up. And how something small, like a sweet, can turn into something huge.
It's a good reminder that there's always more going on than we see. So do you have any last thoughts about all of this? Something for us to think about?
I do. This whole case, it makes us ask ourselves, how much does it matter what we believe? Even if we don't know all the facts. Does believing in something make it real for us?
Wow. That's something to think about for sure. It makes you think about faith and trust and how much they shape our world. Thanks for taking us on this deep dive.
Of course.
And listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you think about this whole Ladoo situation? Let us know on social media. We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Until then, stay curious.